Yeah, no, and just so that just so you know, like I'm not adversarial to it.
Okay,
I consider
whatever.
myself
It made
part
me
of what I
start
call the
over,
New Age.
so we're starting over again. Um, so I was, when I saw you guys the other day when out front, and we were talking about the cops. When I walked around the corner, I saw a
There will
hand.
be mature and possibly immature content. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't listen at all. It's very poorly produced. Take me to your leader.
I worked really hard on this. It's fucking showtime, girl. Right now, rock it. He's gonna play by himself. Look. I'm using my YouTube to just play through the system and dump the fucking episode back into the screen.
Welcome to the Monster Castle Radio
Because I'm a genius.
for the extreme paranormal listener. And here is your host, the Wolfman, Mike.
This is where all the movies have.
Just so that just so you know, like I'm not adversarial to it. I consider myself part of what I call the New Age diaspora. I definitely put myself in the New Age community, though that term is often considered a dirty word. I think that it is what it is. I mean, we know what we're talking about, though we might have problems with all the people that get lumped into that category. It's the sort of thing that I can point to it, but I couldn't show you where the boundaries are. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like we all know what we're talking about, but we not be able to put definitional words on it. Like we can't say we'd be here all day if we were to say list all the things that come under the the heading of New Age spirituality. But if I talk about New Age spirituality, we kind of all know what the world that I'm talking about or the world that I'm describing.
Can I ask you a question? When you say New Age spirituality, is that a way that you've lived your whole life? Is it a way that you see how to live for everybody, or is that the way you see life for only some of us?
My attitude about it is that like many people, I didn't choose to be interested or fascinated in the things that I'm interested or fascinated in. I just always was. You're always attracted to certain places in the bookstore, if you're even attracted to the used bookstore in the first place. And I was always, from an early age, even like, seventh, eighth grade, from the types of music that I was listening to the lyrics that would turn me on or get me excited about things, or the concepts and ideas or type of movies I'd want to see. Like even like, some people go see horror movies and that's it. They go see the horror movie and it's a type of movie that you could see. But me, I was always fascinated, and even at a young age was looking at things like even the old Disney movies like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, or even The Wizard of Oz, and saying, knowing that there was something there, and then going to the New Age bookstore, the used bookstore, and hunting through the old stacks of, you start off when you're a kid, you don't know, anything from anything. So you pick up Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible, or you pick up some tawdry biography of Aleister Crowley, or some like nasty little paperback on, your psychic potential revealed, lucid dreaming in 50 days or whatever the case may be. But your journey's begun. And, then you study the history of these things, where they came from. And, I was born in 1975, so I kind of really came of age during the 80s. And so by the time, I got into what we would call New Age spirituality, I was already aware of the fact that it had a history. And at first, you hear about the history coming out of the 1960s flower power, San Francisco LSD scene. But then you realize that those guys and gals were discovering a lot of information that had already been out there itself. So, and that's where even the juxtaposition or the two rivers of conspiracy theory and New Age spirituality come in, because you'll start hearing people talk about their spiritual beliefs, which are very mystical and very attuned to Eastern traditions and what have you. And then all of a sudden you realize you're talking about things like reincarnation, et cetera, et cetera. And then they'll say things like they'll start bad-mouthing Freemasonry. And then you realize that if you look at the history of Freemasonry, that a lot of the ways that a lot of this information about Eastern spirituality first coming to the shores of the United States and England, and thoughts about reincarnation and stuff like this, and a lot of these traditions came through and were preserved by secret organizations, secret brotherhoods and sisterhoods like the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians or, the Order of the Eastern Star, what have you.
Yeah, and they used to burn us.
But when you mention this, sir, these are microcosms, are they not? Like, these are just microcosms. These are just modalities. This new age thing.
Yeah, look, these are the sort of things about which a person can have a philosophy.
It's like a religion.
Shit.
Guys,
these are a commercial.
Where it's like, so I think I pick up what you're putting down when you're talking about the microcosm.
CW, it's bottom of the hour, and these guys are paying for the commercial. I gotta roll this. It's a really good commercial.
Now, Willie Hoppy, how mild can a cigarette be?
Well, I've been smoking Camels for 20 years. I know they're mild and they really taste great.
Yes, Camels are so mild that in a test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, throat specialists making weekly examinations reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. But prove for yourself how mild a cigarette can be. Test Camels for 30 days in your T-zone. Let your taste and throat tell you about Camel's flavor and mildness.
Camel toes is what you got to worry about.
Well, I had to do it, man. They're paying me for this shit.
I understand. You're under these strict regulations.
Yeah.
Fucking shit.
Yeah.
But anyway,
the Piper.
I want to ask these gentlemen. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Commercial's over. There's only
I wanted to ask this gentleman in regards to the microcosm and macro. Okay, so you see you experience many micros, right? Many modalities per se.
Yeah, I understand that when I think about what I call the New Age diaspora, that there are a lot of separable and definable subgenres or subheadings. But there's so many people in the life of each individual practitioner. I very seldom meet someone who's strictly, necessarily influenced by, the Buddhism or Hinduism. Oftentimes, it's a mixed match of different things, things that they've picked up over time, that they're into, gemstones and the love in the earth, and they're into this, and they're also into tarot cards. And so when I talk about New Age spirituality, I understand that I'm being that I'm doing something which people inside the community themselves could protest and say, that's muddying the waters, No,
I think you're doing good work, because you know what really pisses me off are all these fucking love and lighters, or whatever you want to fucking call them. These psychics or whatever, channelers, these life coaches or whatever, they're just spewing bullshit for their ego and their fucking clients.
I'm offended. I'm a very spiritualist channeler, and I'm really offended by that, Yeah. I'm really offended.
Send your money. I will praise you. You will be saved.
That's a different guy.
That's evangelism.
I know, it doesn't fucking matter if it's fucking.
Well, oftentimes, the difference between a televangelists and a lot of New Age practitioners is thin at best. which is hysterical because so many people in our community would be the first to jump up and point their finger at the televangelist asking for money. But think about how many, it's rare that you see anybody doing things in the New Age community that's not some sort of what I would call an alternative to doing working a real job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and
I
if you can do it, that's fine. But everything seems to be a pay-for-play service in New Age spirituality, which I think is not a good, healthy way to do things.
No, and you know what? And there's, you know what? When you get fakes, okay, when you get fakes that draw people, okay, you know what? You're creating you're victimizing people, all right, and you're creating a lot of fucking good drama for yourself, karma for yourself, there, buddy. All right. So yeah, go to bed and live with that. All right. So yeah, what you're doing is good because it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. What I see, a lot of these love and lighters or these New Agers, you call them. You know, New Agers is such an old term, man. You know, it's like fucking,
you know, what's old is new again. I mean, I think we've gone through the phase of where it's gotten so old that it's back in fashion. I think it's worthwhile to use. I like it because that's. To me, the way I understood it was where you went to in the bookshop to find the books that you were interested in. And I ended up in a section called New Age or sometimes metaphysics. You know what I mean? But generally, you know, that's how I understood it.
Well, yes, but, you know, sir, when you speak, you said you were born in 1975. I was born in 66. And yeah, I didn't have internet, and I went to the library a lot, and I did a lot of studying. You know, a lot of my aisles that I went up and down the bookstores and the library were basically science and metaphysics and the paranormal. And guess where I landed up when it got on the edgy stuff? Yeah, the New Age stuff. So yeah, I studied a lot of that. So yeah, this is intriguing to me, sir. Thank you.
Oh no, thank you. No, absolutely. I thank you for your inquisitive questions because they help me to draw out for the audience where it is that I'm coming from and what it is we're talking about. It's all food for thought. Like, you know, I say, like, in this world of YouTube, like when I came onto YouTube, I noticed that there's a ton of people who will tell you that they know, basically they present themselves to the audience as saying, I know this, I know this, I know this, and they're claiming all sorts of authority. And I come to YouTube and I come to the internet and I come to people and I come to the community and I say, hey man, I'm just like you. I have more questions than I have answers. I could tell you what I'm into and I could tell you why I'm into it. I could tell you what I believe I think is true and I could tell you why I think I believe those things are true. But I'm not going to be so presumptuous as to tell you that I know how, you know, the astral plane and the metaphysical underpinning of the universe, you know, actually works, or if reincarnation is just a handy way of teaching people about cause and effect of their actions, or whether or not it's an actual spiritual science that permeates the universe and lays out dictates of, you know, how we get from one lifetime to another. You know, so
no one likes to be told anything. No one likes I know likes to be told. What I do, I like to mention. You take it as you want it. Okay, see, because I don't tell nobody nothing. See, what I do mention is my truth. My truth.
Right.
Okay? I'm not putting myself on nobody. Okay? You have yours. I'm not going to put my truth, my belief on you. Okay? You believe what you want to believe. All I'm going to do is mention what I believe. That's all, man. Take it or leave it. Drop it.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Dennis.
Right. I can dig it.
All right.
CW, I have a question for you. When you say reincarnation, you've said this a few times throughout the show. I wanted to ask you, can your past life haunt you in your life that you're living now? Or do you feel like your past life is exempt in the way you live this life? Or do you think that there's suffering in this life, maybe because you were a bad person in a past life? Or how do you see reincarnation?
Okay,
so
could this be a round table?
Talking
Because
about
I like
the concepts of reincarnation and karma, I don't know if I've had past lives. I know that in my journeys, I've often seen a common theme in various spiritual traditions. This notion of reincarnation, or this notion that this world, this lifetime is a test, and how you live this lifetime will determine the next lifetime, whether it's a lifetime of eternal suffering or joy, if you subscribe to the Christian or Judeo-Christian mindset, or if you believe in like a Hindu or Buddhist concept of reincarnation. It says that if you do nefarious deeds or bad actions in this world, in this lifetime, you will suffer the consequences in your next, until you learn these lessons. I don't know. So when I think about these things, what I try to do is I try to maintain a mindset where the value of the information that I'm reading will be maintained whether or not this stuff is true, metaphysically true, like there is reincarnation, there's a law of karma that dictates how things quote unquote work, or if this concept or these ideas or these speeches about reincarnation and karma going back thousands of years are just a complex, metaphorical, allegorical way to describe the value of doing good things versus the suffering that can occur if you do bad things. So I say to myself, okay, so I read all these things about reincarnation and karma from a Hindu perspective, from a Buddhist perspective, from believers in Shiva to believers in Krishna to Jainism, and I say to myself, okay, so how could you understand this information as being practical and pragmatic so that whether or not it's true or not true, it would still have a value to it? And so what I come up with is this concept of, it's something as simple as the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or just
exactly. You said it right. My God, I think you were the first person I ever heard say that.
Because as we know, look, I mean, the fact of the matter is the things that we do from day to day will determine what our choices that are left before us the day after. If I choose not to come to work on Monday because I think it's much more interesting to just hang out and drink beer all day, I can do that. I can make that choice. But come Tuesday morning, I'm going to have to suffer the consequences of that action.
See, I don't think anybody's really knows where you're coming from here. They're asking you questions as if you're a psychic or something. C-Double is not a psychic. He's not like that. He's into this stuff, but he doesn't profess to be a psychic or anything like that.
If I'll tumble for you. If people have got, first of all, where's this discussion? I can't get to this. All I see is the last comment I see is from Casper Parks.
Oh no. Okay, so go to the next episode in Spreaker.
I'm having a nice conversation with an intelligent person here.
I don't even know how to get to the next episode.
Dennis is awesome. Okay.
Right now.
All you got to do is if you were in the other one, just hit my name, Wolfman Mike, and then scroll down. You'll see the next episode. I think it's just called. I didn't name it. It's just called MCP Radio, so I have to rename it, and then you'll find it back.
Okay, let's try that. Okay. Okay, here we go.
You guys play with boards. You guys flick your keys. Do whatever
here
you do.
Here you go. Man. I think I got it. I think.
No, he wants to see the chat. That's cool, man. Darren. He wants to see the chat. The last one's...
I think I see it.
See your chat. Respond to the chat. Tell me what they're saying, Mike, because I want to respond to some of these fucking dickheads. I'm sure that they're fucking posting right the fuck now.
You psychic son of a gun, you Dennis, you read all their minds. Now they can't hide from you no more.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Go fuck themselves.
See, like now here's a perfect example. This is like cause and effect. So and this is how complex it is. So one could say, look at Dennis' reaction, and one could say, oh, Dennis shouldn't do that because if Dennis does that, he's going to have to deal with like slack from the chat or BS from the chat,
or Igor bonking.
At the same time, if he chooses not to do that and to try and play ball, then the truth might not come out regarding, making an important stand, on principle for, why it's important to be truthful and honest and speak your mind, no matter how many tables get turned over at the party. So when we think about these things and try and figure out the right or wrong thing to do or what karma is going to be, you see how complex it can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, Dennis, they're mostly just talking about the Rose Bowl in there, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on at the same time, so don't worry about it, man.
All right, good, whatever. So I wanted to ask this gentleman again. I still didn't get your first name.
You can call me CW. You can call me Benjamin. It doesn't really matter to me.
It's a beautiful name, Benjamin.
Oh wait, they think it's Casper. No, this is your name. You're not Casper, are you?
No, I'm not Casper Parks.
Casper Parks is just in the chat room there. He's on tomorrow night actually. Casper Parks on tomorrow night.
Okay.
All right, Benjamin. Okay,
The UFO
Benjamin,
guy.
I'd like to ask you a question, Benjamin.
Sure.
So you know this Dharma, right? In fact, it's like yin yang, right? Positive, negative, right? It's like the balance of energy per se.
What I know about Dharma is kind of like the rules of the road. Like in some ways, it's analogous to what would be known as the Tao or the Way. Like our karma is the effects of our individual actions upon the playing field in the game of life, and Dharma is kind of like the games. Like so if you or I, if someone is born to be a beggar or somebody's born to be a brain surgeon, either of those guys can hurt the Dharma or live against the Dharma by trying to live the life of the other person. You have to, kind of accept things for how they are, what it is.
Where you live in karma. That's where karma always comes back.
Right.
For what I find, see, if I live pure and true, okay, with nature and my fellow humans and all the rest of that stuff, universe for me, okay, this is just me, the way I see things, myself, my truth, is universe has everything to provide. There's everything to offer. And what the problem with me is that I was so distracted in 3D distractions, in emotion, with other people and losing myself in those distractions, or that I wasn't seeing what universe was offering me until I really got a hold of, like, grounded myself, really looked at what was going on around me, okay, and then where that I pick up these signs and these things, and universe has everything right there, boom, right there, and it's it's just so interesting where people fight to try to find it. If you try to find happiness or you try to find answers, you're never gonna find it, man. Never.
Have you ever, guys, listened to the newest, physics, what do they call them? The physicists, the ones who just, like, on the... Yeah.
Physicism.
What do they call that? Jeez, I can't remember the name. I just saw a show on it. It was like
quantum physics.
Like quantum, theoretical physicist. I got it. Theoretical physicist.
Sure. Well, I mean, look. I mean, a lot of this stuff. When we talk about theoretical physics, we have to figure out if we're actually touching or talking about the real stuff, or if we're just talking about an interpretation of theoretical physics that's been brought to us. Like, so, for example,
that's why they call it theory.
Yeah, there was a movie called What the Bleep We Know that was made by adherents or students of the channeled entity Ramtha, who's channeled by Jay-Z Knight. And the whole principle of this movie was this notion of, like, the non-locality of things, and a lot of this stuff ties into people like Deepak Chopra and books like The Secret, where they look at aspects of quantum physics or theoretical physics and use that as a jumping off point to justify all sorts of sometimes wishy-washy new age beliefs and practices regarding visualization, or that there's like teleportation is factual or actual, or the only difference between the only reason you don't have $1 million in your bank account is because you don't believe that you have $1 million in your bank account. And so when we talk about the theoretical physics, we have to know and understand that, are we going to the source material? So my attitude about it is, if you want to talk about theoretical physics, you better be listening to someone who can actually demonstrate to you that they come from the world of hard sciences, that they come from an MIT or a university, and they're not just someone selling a book, The Way of the Wizard or whatever it is. So that you know what you're getting, because there's a lot of people that can take these words like quantum physics and relativity, or take a thought idea, like, you ever hear about Schrodinger's cat?
Oh yeah.
The notion that exactly. So that you can take that concept, and if you're smoking weed around the campfire, you could take Schrodinger's cat thought experiment to all sorts of mystical, magical places that the actual theoretical physicist Schrodinger would be like, that's not what I was talking about at all. You know what I mean? It's just a metaphor or analogy to explain a concept or an idea. But like I think what Dennis was saying before is I think what I notice in life is that so much of everything that we do comes down to utilizing and manipulating our own power of perception. The fact that the difference between the state of affairs of the world when we're quote unquote happy or at peace, and the state of affairs of the world when we're quote unquote distressed and feeling put upon and sad or disjointed, it's not the state of the world. The state of the world tends to be the same. It's our perception of things as they are. You know what I mean? Like, so you can find yourself, say you're a long distance runner. I've used this idea all the time. You're a long distance runner, and a horrible accident occurs, and you lose your legs. All your life you've been training to be a gold medalist runner. All your life you've been at the gym. You've been at the
I can help you with that one. Hang on. Let's chop the legs off. Chop the legs off. Come on, let's get the legs off. All right. Good. All right. Okay. There you go. Okay. All right. Okay. There.
Right? Whether by chainsaw or car accident, the legs are gone. So that individual is now in a position where they can. The reality is the reality. The legs are gone. So they can spend their time running around from new age healer to new age healer, thinking about the way in which they're going to get their legs back, or they can make peace with the fact that they don't have legs and say to themselves something along the lines of, well, I guess this is God or the universe telling me to slow down, or I guess I can't define myself, or I have to find a new identity beyond just being a long distance runner. Or that person can sit there in a chair in a room with, watching, replay after replay of past performances or past Olympic runners, drinking themselves into an early grave. The difference between all of those reactions is not the state of affairs. The state of affairs in all of those situations are the same. Long distance runner at point A, at point B, a man or woman with no legs. The thing that changes is not the world or the situation. The thing that changes, it makes one person be a winner who can be, living a life of value and living a life of value for other people.
You change the paradigm.
Teach them valuable life. Is the perception of the situation.
Yeah. You change the paradigm. Change the level of water. Change and that makes you a winner. Exactly.
Yeah, and the dirty little secret is this: is that you can honestly tell the person who's sitting there in the room drinking themselves to death. You can say to them, you have to. What do you want to do? Because you're not going to get the legs back, so you're going to have to decide whether you're going to be an optimist about the situation, or you're going to continue to be a negative Nelly. And as hard as it is to face, is that there's certain people whose natural propensity is towards negativity, and those people tend to go down like a stone. And there's people whose natural propensity is optimism, and those people always seem to find a way to fly.
Yeah, I guess what I took from this theoretical physicist is that you could change the paradigm like that and say that, put yourself in a situation, then say that only a person with no legs will win out of this situation I'm putting myself into. So unless you have no legs and you used to be a runner, then you're not going to win in my arena. So basically, so it's a win-win situation that you put yourself in by changing the arena. It's changing the paradigm. I don't know what word I'm looking for.
No. It's absolutely. It's. I think what you're going for is this. There's a concept called reframing, where you take a given situation, a person who's involved in that situation, and you say to them, you find ways to look at the given set of circumstances that exist, that are not undeniable, and you find a way to look at them differently. Or, like as I say, reframe the situation, recast the situation, recast yourself in a different role. And, then you might find yourself being able to break out of that prison and moving and striving for the next step or the next level, or keep on going, putting down that bottle, putting your hands on the side of that wheelchair and wheeling yourself out into the sunlight, if only to say, look, I may be in denial about this, but I'm going to choose to believe that life is still worth living, and that there can be a lesson here. And it's just the way that it goes. So I think that goes back to what Dennis was describing with, discovering that the universe has everything that's on offer. It's like whatever the universe is, whether you're living the life of poverty in Bangladesh or whether you're living the life of a billionaire out in Beverly Hills.
Come to Country Dennis, and he will get the best kind of country from the country you have never had this kind of service for this price. And those other tenants, they don't know what they're doing because they fuck up on the teeth, they drill holes, and the feelings fall out in the fuck. So yeah, Country Dennis, we'll fix you up, man.
I'm the dental assistant, and I use the crazy glue.
Because if it's not, that person's just going to go down.
We use lots of whiskey.
And you never know what's going to happen next. That person could be discovered to be a great teacher. That person could find themselves in a year or two from then having a coterie of white followers. You know what I mean? Thinking that he's some enlightened guru. You never know. The greatest things can happen. The worst things can happen.
People fuck themselves.
Okay.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. They're saying like never.
I'm really
using this absolutist language. I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get that. I mean, well, absolutely not. If you say never, so you have to. Even if you fail at it, at least you shoot your arrows, aim your arrow for the stars. You may just land on the moon. It's you hope for the best, and even if it doesn't amount to anything, even if all your efforts are in vain, and you still end up an abject failure, you just ended up in the same place you started off with. But at least you tried. At least you can look yourself in the mirror and say, "I tried my best. I tried to live a life of purpose. I tried to find some way to express, goodliness and godliness in this lifetime, as difficult as it might be."
Yeah, I agree, man. The strangest stuff, though, that theoretical physicist that just really rung true. I can't remember his name, but he was on the Joe Rogan show. You can check it out. If you look at the Joe Rogan show, it's one of his recent ones, and it says theoretical physicist blows Joe Rogan away. It's really worth a listen, man.
I know the guy I forget his name escapes me, but I know exactly. It might have been he had this guy named Lawrence Krauss on to talk about kind of things. And when you get it,
I think he's from Toronto. Actually, this guy's from Toronto, I believe. He's a professor from Toronto.
Now here's the real thing that's crazy, is when you get to the stuff that the real hardcore theoretical physicists are doing. Over at MIT or over at Stanford, at Stanford, or any of the major colleges, or even over at CERN, overseas, you will see that at the level of work that they're doing at theoretical physics, it's almost indistinguishable from the wackiest, craziest, zaniest New Age belief out there that you're going to find down in the vortex of Sedona, being taught to you by like DJ Rainbird, you know what I mean? Who's going to put a crystal on your forehead, and move you in three directions, and you're going to see eternity. Check this out.
Yeah, why is NASA investigating Chaco Canyon? Why is NASA investigating Chaco Canyon? Why were they in there? Did you hear about that one?
I mean, look, check this out. So there's a guy named what's his name? Oh Christ, we're bad with names. But anyway, this came out a couple of years ago, where there were people that were an astrophysicist who was talking about what they were seeing through the greatest telescopes regarding the edge of the information that's contained at the edge of the universe. And they basically, and I'm paraphrasing it here, I'm dumbing it down because that's as best as I can understand it. I know how smart I am. I'm not smart enough to be a theoretical physicist, right? I'm probably smart enough to be the janitor in the Department of Theoretical Physics at a major university. Know who you are, know your limitations. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, man.
When they look to the edge of the universe now, what they're saying is that what they're basically seeing, and this is theoretical, and we always have to remember that theoretical is another word for might be true or might not be true.
Yeah.
Is they're seeing computers code essentially, and they're basically coming up with an illustration that certain explanations of the holographic universe or this nature really not being this universe really not being real.
We're back to the holographic.
And then even when you get into things like there's been a lot of talk and discussion about what's known as the simulated universe theory. That's very popular with guys like Elon Musk.
Well, yeah,
and it's been talked about on Joe Rogan Show a lot, where it's just basically a lot of the models that people run indicate that there's every reason in the world to believe that we might just be in a quote-unquote matrix-like universe, a simulated universe.
Who created the holograph?
That's the essential question. That's the great mystery. It's like, check this out. So we know about a guy called Zecharia Sitchin who had a theory that the way that humans evolved was not, over millions and millions of years, but in fact had to do with the interaction with a space race called the Anunnaki coming down to Earth and manipulating the genetic code of monkeys or great apes in order to create a slave race to help them get gold, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now a lot of people will talk about that and think that, okay, so there you go. We have an answer for how humans got here. And I go, no, whether or not we got here accidentally or whether or not we got here through the Anunnaki, you'd still be essentially left with the same question. Okay, so if the Anunnaki made us, fair enough, who made the Anunnaki? Exactly. And even if you say, who made the Anunnaki were the Archons. Okay, who made the Archons?
I got a great question.
What we call God.
Got a great question for you from a Jewish producer in the chat room. He's asking if you know about, or if you heard about, or believe in the Mandela effect.
I know all about the Mandela effect, and I believe in the Mandela effect insofar as I think that it's an observable phenomena that we could talk about, know, and understand. Do I think that there's an actual thing that the Mandela effect is quote-unquote real? I'd have to be honest and say no. What I think is much more likely is that people are just misremembering things or just they're tripping up over accidents of the brain. And I can deconstruct, and I have deconstructed on my channel, the essential evidence of the quote-unquote Mandela effect. The
I would have
to
actually agree with you, sir. Yes.
That when they learned that Nelson Mandela died in 2015 or 16, they all said to themselves, wait. I heard that Nelson Mandela had died years and years ago. And I pointed out the fact that, well, look, Nelson Mandela was alive, all those every year from 1940, whatever, when he was born up until he died in 2000, whatever. He was alive on planet Earth, and you can know what he is. There's a couple of things that happened. Number one, a lot of people that were involved in the civil rights struggle in South Africa, along with Nelson Mandela, did not live and, in fact, did die. There was a guy by the name of, I believe his name was Stephen Biko.
Yeah, Stephen Biko.
And Peter Gabriel wrote a song about him. Biko.
Yeah.
Because,
I know, but I love that song.
So Stephen Biko actually died, and they made a movie about Stephen Biko. So I think when a lot of people think that they remember Nelson Mandela dying, they're really remembering Stephen Biko.
I agree.
I also want to point out the fact that a lot of the people that remember Nelson Mandela dying and talk about the Mandela effect, may have just been, kind of ignorant and kind of living their life, in a bong or a beer bottle, because Nelson Mandela made a cameo appearance in Malcolm X that came out in 1993 with Spike Lee. Nelson Mandela was the president, was the first black president of South Africa for many, many years. So when people talk about him dying, I say to them, I think you were probably just out of touch or tuned out. And then people start talking about the Mandela effect, and let's face it, a lot of people want to believe in things like the Mandela effect because that means they live in some sort of science fiction world where there's someone's hacking the Matrix and timelines, and we're going back and forth and all this, that, and the other thing. The other classic example of the Mandela effect is Empire Strikes Back. Is people remember Darth Vader turning to Luke and saying, Luke, I am your father. And then when we watch it nowadays, he says, no, I am your father. And we say, oh, whoa, wait, hold on. I remembered it differently. Okay, so you remembered it differently. The human memory is fallible.
I know why that is. And you know what? I can explain that one.
When it comes to things like that famous lines from famous movies, the minute a famous line is done in a famous movie, Saturday Night Live is doing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, dude. I remember Saturday Night Live, and that's where they said, "Luke, I am your father." So it confused everyone by the comedy thing, so they all remembered that as being in the movie, but it wasn't. It was on Saturday Night Live.
And also, Chris
Yeah,
Farley did it
that's
when
right.
he was in the movie Tommy Boy, when he goes up to the fan and he's doing the Darth Vader voice.
Yeah, and he says,
goes,
Luke, I am your father. That's right. That's where you people are remembering it from, not from the actual movie. So there you go. I agree with you again. Yeah,
Right.
I'm right with you on this shit, man.
Absolutely, and so much of this stuff can be done like this. And so I try to explain to people, I'm not trying to like crap on anybody's parade
No, but you're right,
or break
though.
anybody's heart. I'm just saying that, like, if we think about this thing logically, it's better because then we're going to come up with the true instances. Because there are things, we've all had things like deja vu, like experiences where we say to ourselves, like, for the life of me, I got to be totally honest, this is a weird thing. Or you have these weird experiences, like, well, you'll be talking, like, you and me might be hanging out, you know, on the street corner having a conversation about such and such, some dude that we haven't seen for 25 years. Out of nowhere, we start talking about this guy. And then all of a sudden, who pulls up? Crazy old Jerry Brown, whoever it is, the dude we were just talking about. And it's like, whoa. And so there are great mysteries in life, and there are things to be explored. But then there's a lot of things that become popular on the internet and then fade away. The other thing about the Mandela effect I always love is that, like, a lot of these things and concepts, like the Greys, the Zeta Reticuli, or the Archons, or whatever, the lizard, shape-shifting lizard people, for a thing that's the biggest thing going in the universe, it tends to be popular on the internet for about a year and a half, and then it goes away and no one ever talks about it again. You know what I mean? Like, remember, there was like 2 years ago, it was Mandela effect, Mandela effect, Mandela effect, Mandela effect. There were people that had whole channels that were just dedicated to collecting Mandela effects.
So,
and where are those channels now?
I think we talked enough about Mandela
Those guys
effect.
are now talking about QAnon or whatever.
It's a bunch of lemons, sheeples.
Anyways, the Eric Weinstein.
Shit. That's what it is. Because people are like hive minds, they can't think for themselves.
Yeah, hive mind. Okay.
In general, they can't think for themselves.
So the guy on Joe Rogan was Eric Weinstein, or Stein.
Okay,
Eric
okay,
Weinstein.
yeah.
And it's Joe Rogan, number 1203. He's a mathematician and economist. He's also managing director at Thiel Capital. You can check him on his blogs and people. I'm not sure what they're, but yeah, he commercial. Oh, Eric Weinstein, PhD, something like that. You can find him on YouTube.
Rogan stumped. Rogan was so dumbfounded. It looked
Me
like
too.
He blitzed on Chatter
Dude,
for a month
I was
before he did
stumped
the show.
from this guy. It was wild.
He was dumbfounded.
And when he gets to the end of it, you know, he's tearing everything to pieces.
Is like the kind of thing, like, no offense, like Joe Rogan is a comedian who on his spare time likes to get his head kicked in.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's like...
That's amazing. I love this guy.
Yeah, that's true. He's cool though, but I like it that he actually tried to understand this.
Don't get me wrong, like, I'm a huge fan, and
he's
I
like,
totally admire.
He even said, "I love the guy." He says,
"Where it's like, people will say, like, whoa, like, you know, like." You see those clips, like Joe Rogan is one of these guys. He'll make a 3-hour performance, and then it ends up becoming 3,000 hours of YouTube content because everyone and their mother is going in there and clipping out the little things. It's like Joe Rogan gets his mind blown by this guy. Joe Rogan is asked a question about AIDS that you can't explain, and it's like, duh, he's not a physicist. I mean, if you tell the average person something about theoretical physics, they're going to be blown away. You know what I mean? So that's like, not like, I mean, it is what it is. Having said that, I would love that paycheck. You know what I mean? I would love to be Joe Rogan. Are you kidding me? Wolfman, how would that be? You sit around basically, you wake up in the morning, you see your kids off to school, you hit the gym, becoming a kick-ass piece of work that you can respect in the mirror, then you smoke weed for a couple of hours,
take
then
mushrooms,
you go and talk to amazing people for another couple of hours, and then get a paycheck for doing that. I mean, that's... Talk about, dude, that guy cracked the nut. That guy figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like, well, if I try to figure this theoretical physics, he said at one point, he says, well, maybe if I pop a mushroom, it'll kick in, and I'll figure this out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you figure it all out. That's it. That's just like the ultimate cheat to the test of life. You know what I mean? Things that are founding or bizarre. Just like taking like a strong hit of blotter or a couple of caps and stems. And you'll figure it all out. You and your best friend around the friggin' sitting in the basement will have all the answers to the universe in about 4.5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You ever do this? You ever do this as a kid? You think to yourself, you and your friends are hanging out, you're partying and whatever, and then you think to yourself, like, whoa, man, you know, when we get into these states, it's like we really like we're figuring stuff out. You ever think that? And then you like audio tape it, or videotape it, like think like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna like take all this magical ingredients, these Lucky Charms. We're gonna consume, right? And then we're gonna audio tape or the results.
Okay, now you're getting me going.
Then we're gonna have a book, right? We'll have it all figured out. Then you play back the tape. The tape is all like you and your friends being like, and so it really is like.
Hello, I'd like to have a table, and would I be able to bring? Most of them turn out like I have 4 people. Dude, I've got podcasts. One with wooden leg. Like is that so okay? And I laugh at myself. He's a bit handicapped. He handicapped. Once in a while, something really does happen, and it's in there, and there's evidence in there of something really strange, man. I got, yeah.
And it's like, what's the logical explanation? That something strange really happened, or you just perceived that something strange really happened because you're on like a laundry list full of
let me give you an example. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, my brother and I, we did mushrooms down in my grandmother's basement. All of a sudden, I start walking across. Hang on, what were you saying, Dennis?
Discernment, judging, discernment of what is real and what is like not so good, right?
Okay.
And you go with it, and that's where you create your belief. That's your truth, right? So yeah, that's
Moog Boy's here. Wow, awesome! Shout out to Moog Boy. Right on, he's back. What I was thinking more was, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, okay. When I was doing this electricity thing, I was on mushrooms when I was a kid. Walked across this carpet. It was a natural fur carpet, and it created a lot of static. So, being on mushrooms, I all of a sudden decided I could just sit down and meditate and suck static out of the air, and I was doing this and making big electrical zaps and shit. And so I did it. I thought, you know what, we got to record this. So zapping this matter. I melted all the water I used. The next day was all melted. All the did it zapping Dark Lord Star Wars, dude. So yeah, and there was evidence the next day. I've never been able to do it again.
That didn't happen because you're telling me it did.
The electrician, my grandmother couldn't figure it out. The electrician came. He said, I don't understand how this could have ever happened. It's as if it got hit by lightning here inside the house. Right.
So step number 2 is I say that on a wing and a prayer, we put all our faith in the man upstairs. You, me, and about a quarter ounce of magic mushrooms. We go down to Knox. We just walk up to that security system. We do what we got to do. You do the zapping thing.
And then we find out there's no gold there. Because they made it all into fucking Ormus.
And if they bust us, we're just like, step number 1 of our master plan may be that we might need to kidnap Ron Paul.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? It ain't going to happen because I'll tell you, there's no gold there. They made it all into white powdered Ormus or whatever you call that. And they're all living forever and laughing at us. And there's no fucking gold in there.
But maybe if we take the magic mushrooms and do the zapping thing, we can bring the gold back. We can hack the timeline.
That's true. That is true.
You never know. Hey,
we can win this one.
Listen,
we can win this.
Possible, right?
I think Dennis would probably help us on this. He could just keep believing in that we're going to get gold from when we zap everything.
Hey, look. I mean, gold is gold. I mean, one of these days, if we don't destroy the environment and bake this planet dead as a cue ball, theoretically, there's this new science called nanotechnology, right?
That thing
and
died.
Some of the applications of nanotechnology mean that there might be one day within our lifetimes an unlimited supply of gold because we'll have the technology necessary to just make gold literally out of thin air. You would take 10 pounds of plastic and refuse and garbage and turn that into 10 pounds of pure gold because the nanotechnology will be able to work on the molecule on the matter molecule by molecule, reconfiguring it into actual gold.
Oh, dude, these theoretical physicists are right on this one too. Yeah, they didn't quite say that in the words, but yeah, you will be able to do this very soon. He said on
right,
a godlike level. They've almost figured it out right to the how. And he says it all goes down into stuff like in the Bible too. It mentions stuff about how this works. It goes way back into ancient texts and everything. How this works. Like, or maybe I'm mixing two things up. But
listen, you could be mixing two things up and getting the right answer.
I think I am. There's another guy I've been studying who figured out the ley lines and how it's based on the center of the Earth's magnetic core working like a speaker, like a not a solenoid. What's the other word for it? Damn. Like a speaker.
Electromagnetic?
Yeah, I forget what you call it. Yeah. It's how its speaker works. Like, yeah, it's an electromagnetic device. Transducer, I think. Transducer, I believe. Anyways, but using it, yeah, that's what creates. And you know what seismic fields are when you how they create geometric patterns with different frequencies. I don't know if you ever seen like a speaker and then they lay sand on it and it makes it geometric patterns. Well,
definitely, without a doubt.
That is how the electromagnetic, like the core of the Earth, is working like a speaker to create the ley lines on the Earth. Same way, on a huge scale. So, and if he's hearing these low bass frequencies that we can't hear, finding them and pinpointing them, and they actually line right up with the ancient ley lines that all the monoliths and megaliths and everything are.
They even say that it found where Jesus was crucified. They found his blood and his DNA. Instead of having 46 chromosomes, he only had 20.
Hey, that's a whole different story. That's not even connected. That's absolutely not connected.
It is. It's in the same way. It points out all the things throughout history.
That's not.
This is what happened. We're talking about, like, I think this could bring it full circle back to where we started with talking to Dennis about, the use of the concept of New Age spirituality as being these kind of separate modalities. Like, everything is kind of intermixed, but you'll have people that will be like, they'll be like right up to there'll be people that start to hear the conversation about ley lines and they'll check out. They'll be like, this is some New Age nonsense. And then there'll people that will follow the train of thought or believe in the logic up to a certain point. And then when the conversation turns into, time travel or Jesus or where he was crucified or his genetic makeup, then they jump off. So it's like there are people that are along for part of it. There are people that are on for all sorts of concepts. But my whole thing is that we really need to think about the level of proof that we're willing to accept. So my attitude when I hear all these things is that it's interesting thought and information, and I want to absorb it, and I want to think about it, and I want to take it on board, but I might reserve that final commitment to accepting it as true because I just don't know. I mean, the stuff about the ley lines, I mean, a lot of it comes down to hearing information from a third source and then just kind of taking their word for it. That this is what the science means, or this is how it lines up, or whatever.
He sure made it sound. He sure made it sound believable.
They're going to have debates about whether or not Jesus Christ was an actual person that lived, or whether he's just kind of a myth or a metaphor.
No, actually, she mixed up that story. Actually, ends up by looking for the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail turns out to be a double vortex where all these ley lines come, where the most of them come together. The most. If you look in the spot on the Earth where he says it's in southern Spain, and like there's a whole bunch of these that cross at this point. There's more than anywhere else on the Earth, and it's almost like it's in a crater. There's like a valley, a circular valley, and he says a double vortex occurs here, and it's probably the most enlightening spot in the Earth that you could meditate or something. That's basically what he says at the end of this thing. I forget the guy's name.
There you go.
But it wasn't about
some
Jesus.
People that think that the Holy Grail is a metaphor for an African woman's vagina. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I like this one because a double vortex.
Just
what do you
as
call
likely
that?
to be
The
a double vortex
torsion
than
field.
there's anywhere.
Double torsion field.
There you go. Why
bring
not?
you straight into the fourth dimension. I believe that might
torsion
work,
field,
man.
ley
Yeah.
lines, quantum physics.
See, when
Who knows?
you're working with magnetics and sound, and you do it backwards, it can create electricity. Just with your voice, you can create electricity. Believe it or not.
Right.
Not many
I
people
believe
know
that.
that. But if you do
listen,
it,
I've heard it tell that if you play "Stairway to Heaven" by Zeppelin backwards, you can hear a message from Satan. You know what I mean?
no, but it is right now by me speaking into this microphone. The vibration from my voice is creating an electrical current.
Oh, without. And the great thing is, just Mike, check this out. Even if it's just a metaphor, you still are making electrical current because you are communicating through the power of the vibration of your vocal cords. You are articulating thoughts that are in your head and communicating them into the outside world. And then through these electrical devices, through the power of the internet, that message is broadcast out, comes to me, comes through my headphones and into my head, where I then translate those outside thoughts and words into my memory banks in my brain, where they become part and parcel of my life, and I think about them, and to understand them, I'm forced to interact with them and to take them on board to a degree, and imagine them as real or not real, to just make sure I understand where you're coming from or what you're saying. So that's what I mean. Like it doesn't even have to be a debate, in the totality of circumstances. It can be, you can just think about whether or not the magic is real. Like, okay, a person casts a magical spell. The purpose of casting a magical spell is to make change happen in the world in accordance with one's will. Even if it's not the case that magical energies are affected on the metaphysical level to make things happen, the act of doing something, the act of moving yourself or committing to a course of action in and of itself has an effect, which can make the effect, the desired set of circumstances come into being. So even if it's just imaginary, even if it's just a metaphysical game that the magician is playing in their head, his or her head, the effect can still occur,
Yeah.
And what do I know? I don't know. I'm just a jackass on the internet, just like you, talking.
Hey,
right?
Wow, but you can,
dogs bark,
man, sir, you can really talk. I gotta tell you,
conversations about all that stuff.
You can talk. That's great, man. Great stuff. Very inspirational. I'm really glad to have you on. Yeah, man. Just trying to see what time it is here. We missed the top of the hour, didn't we? Damn, we're good. Wow, we even missed the top of the hour. Okay, well, what do you want to do? You want to keep on going, or do you need a break, sir?
No, I'm fine. I'll stay with you until you tell me to go.
Okay, but I usually give my guests, everyone on the show at every. Honey, please. At least turn that down. Okay. Hi, Jewish producers here. Jewish producer, JP, are you there?
Yeah. I'm here. Hey, thanks a lot. I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation, but when you get down to it, you're taking questions. I've got so many things, a lot of good points that you hit on. So whenever you have time, let's go.
Okay, you're cutting in and out. Oh, weird.
Is this any better?
Yes, actually.
Okay?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. No, I was just saying that it's a lot of really good information. Whenever you get the opportunity to slow it down a bit and take some questions, I've got all kinds of thoughts on some of these issues. So, just if you need the questions, I'm here.
Okay, well,
go for it, man.
Well, what I want to hear you say is about Disney World, and like you mentioned in the chat room, that we were just talking about ley lines. So,
yeah, I just spent a couple weeks over in Anaheim, right near Disneyland. Disneyland's built on the 33rd latitude, and it's actually built the intersection of 3 ley lines.
Do you know who's got some really interesting information about this? Do you know about an individual called Walter Bosley?
No. It sounds familiar. I know. Was it Walter Bosley? Tom Bosley was on Happy Days.
No. That's what everyone does. No, there's a guy called Walter Bosley. He's got a YouTube channel. He's actually an author. He's appeared a couple of times on the Dark Journalist. YouTube channel. He's an interesting guy. But the thing is, I think he wrote a whole book about the 33rd parallel phenomena, where all these things that happen at this particular latitude, including Disneyland being there, and as we know that a lot of the stuff that went into Disneyland and the whole Disney line of products, of intellectual properties, was absolutely informed by a man, Walt Disney, who was absolutely, we know for a fact he was a Freemason and, was interested in a lot of different stuff. So when you say that, I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but I just know that when it was mentioned, it just immediately triggered me to reference the work of Walter Bosley, a very fascinating guy. He's got actual legitimate ties to military intelligence. He's served.
Oh, dude, Walter. Yeah, I've been checking that out too. Walter Bosley, awesome shit, man.
No, very good guy, very good guy, very informed, very down to earth.
Not a fake.
Not a fake. Cuts out a lot of the woo woo. And if you're interested in the whole 33 latitude, then that ley line. I know for a fact that Walter Bosley's done a lot of work there, and I think he actually has a book specifically about that. So he'd be definitely someone to check out, or someone that probably information and research that you'd be interested in.
Nice. Latitude 33, Key to the Kingdom. It's the name of the book. I've actually heard of it, so I did know of Walter Bosley. Now that you mention it, very good. Very good call there. Cool. I've got all kinds of questions, but I'll wait around and let other people talk.
Sure. As far as I'm concerned, I'm of service. If people have questions or things they want to explore, I'm more than happy to do questions.
Yeah, I like questions.
One thing I'd like to ask about is your interest in astrology. Just basically using the sky clock. And are you familiar with the churches and everybody who traces the sky clock so carefully? Major corporations, all the major money makers, almost like a hidden occulted language at this point. Jesus, marijuana mama, we love you.
Thank you so much.
It hurts my ears though, man.
No, well, unfortunately, Mike, you're at the worst position because if she's your old lady, there's nothing you're going to do to stop her.
Well, no, I can mute it.
Get yourself kicked out or sit on the couch.
I can mute it, but I usually don't hit it fast enough. It just hurts my ears.
Super curious to know
as far as the astrology thing is concerned, we need to know this, is that, look, all the pieces fit. The solar radiation, the waves from sunspots and solar activity to cycles, lunar cycles. We know, looking at the biological functions of life on planet Earth, and also just things like the moon's effect on oceans and waves. We know that what happens in the skies above affects what's happening on here, Earth below. So whether or not you go into the whole woo-woo aspect of it, of the sign of Leo and Capricorn, whatever the case may be, or if you just know and understand that affects these massive planetary objects, and the gravitational forces and electromagnetic forces at work upon them and with them, that they can affect things life on planet Earth, I think is a foregone conclusion. So, I mean, when astrology is one of those things that I haven't particularly studied in depth because it's not something that called to me. It's something that I've looked at and I've seen on the periphery of my investigations into spirituality and metaphysics, but it's not saying that I specifically devoted any great amount of time to studying. But as you say, knowing the people that have put a great amount of interest in studying them and understanding, and who have been fascinated from the ancient cultures of the Mayans or the Aztecs or the Egyptians on through today, the types of minds that are drawn to things like astrophysics and the like, it's definitely, I think, a sign of import that has got value to be thought of and to contemplate, though it's not been something that I've gained any sort of specific level of expertise in.
Wow. Okay, we lost JP. Sorry, dude. But that was an excellent answer to his question. We'll get him back.
Yeah, we got so many things going on here. Got 2 phones, 1 laptop,
sure.
2 computers, 2 TVs.
Oh, yeah, well, everything turning off on me and running battery.
Sorry, Jewish producer.
And we broke another thing. No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Hey.
We broke my ear set.
It happens.
We broke my headset.
Damn it. Okay, that's it. Another broke.
Another window.
Fuck
Oh
it.
my God, it's cold in here.
Oh, this is, okay. We got a letter, too, from the President of the United States here to read.
Oh, stop.
No,
Don't even
actually,
go
you know what I'm
there.
doing with it? Fuck it. I don't want to read it. He's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
There you go.
Actually, I hope your president changes things. I heard he's going to make a deal, and this is no shit. I heard that he's going to make a deal with the Illuminati to give us anti-gravity shit. So, but he has to make a deal. What's he going to do? How many people is he going to sell?
Well, all I know is that according to the likes of David Wilcock and Benjamin Fulford or whatever, this is the alliance president, and QAnon has guaranteed that he's going to be the president that brings forth disclosure, and he's going to wrap up the cabal, and everything's going to be fantastic once he arrests half of his political opponents and puts them into military gulags, apparently. So my attitude about this president is the same attitude I've had about every president, including the ones I've voted for in the past, of various different tones and ethnicities or whatever, is that it's just president of the United States. It's just a figurehead leader. He's a politician, and if you're expecting miracles to come out of Washington, D.C., or if you're expecting life, universe-changing miracles to come out of Moscow, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Live a life of purpose. Presidents come, presidents go, and it's usually the same amount of bullshit's present in every administration. From here to George Washington.
Talk about Russians like this. We like, my name is Boris. I am with Natasha now, and we are in Russia.
JP, do you hear me?
This is my Russian station. Okay. Who cares about stupid U.S. president? Now we are in Russia. How do you do?
Da.
Natasha, how are you today? Natasha is taking off her clothes.
Yes, darling.
Thank you.
Da. Now I'm interested. That's called glasnost.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, listen, Natasha was nothing to, I'd much rather see her and the all together than Bullwinkle, you know what I'm saying?
We do not need Bullwinkle here and his balls and everything and big, huge moose dick or nothing, We just like nude Natasha.
He's
That's
going to
it.
make us feel bad. Let's just hang out with Natasha.
That's right.
Like $1 million.
You know that guy, he probably made you eat the moose sausage.
Right. But that was another timeline. That was a remote viewed that situation with Bullwinkle, and it all turns out terrible. So let's just stay here with Natasha.
Okay, then that's very good. Is other people here too from Russia? There was supposed to be Willie from Alaska. He's my Alaskan guy from Russian group.
Oh. There you go. This story checks out.
Willie, are you there from Russia? You have spy unit. From KGB, I give you one. Damn it, did this thing die out on me again? No, it's there.
Are you talking about the technology or the joke?
Man. Here he is. This is Willie from Alaska. What is report from KGB? Please, Willie, tell us.
How many times did I have to say that at the hotel, the bathroom of the Holiday Inn, staring down? Come on. Pop this last Viagra 2 nights before the Vegas vacation isn't quite over. Come on, Willie. Say something.
Damn it.
Leave the man alone. The man's cooking.
Oh, she died.
Oh, here we
Whoa,
go.
that was
Oh,
cool.
Max
wicked.
Headroom. It's straight from Moscow.
Oh,
It's Max
they went in
Headroom.
fourth dimension. You know what this is? You hear it? That's called woodpecker effect from Russia. We took over the United States with woodpecker effect from Dennis. We used this crazy man voice.
Too much of the Viagra. You're gonna be doing the woodpecker effect with Natasha in the Holiday Inn of the Las Vegas show.
Woodpecker effect. There you go. Everyone wondered how that worked, you know.
Now
What
you know.
the fuck happened?
You got exactly. That's what she said after it was.
Oh yeah. You know, you look up woodpecker. Is it not effect, or we use Tesla's invention, and we give that straight to the president's head in your country.
All I know is that apparently there's some chick, Debbie Daly, who's from Moscow.
Oh yes, she is Russia.
She
is from Russia. She is from Russia. I will try to get her back somehow. I can try. But all of our agents have been compromised.
Hey, listen, it's tough in 2018.
Everybody get every over. Oh, man. Okay, we're going to try to find the Russian people back later.
Have you thought about
I can't keep the voice up forever, man. I was working that for a while. Oh yeah. So
a lot of people talking. I think there's like 80 remarks on.
Yeah. Oh, we're at the bottom of the hour. You know what we need? We need to give this guy a washroom break, man. He's just on the radio.
This is nothing, Mike. If you've tuned into my YouTube channel, I routinely do 4-hour monologues.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I shit you not. I mean 4-hour monologues.
Well, what do you do? Wear Depends?
No, I have a bladder like a camel. I am able to do the distance, and I'm no longer drinking as much as I used to. I quit drugs and alcohol, and that has had improvement. But then I've got a lot of time on my hands, so I end up talking. I mean, sure, occasionally I'll take a bathroom break, but for the most part, I'll do a 2.5-hour stint straight, and I'll just talk.
Wow.
If you need a bathroom break, I mean, I could pause. I mean, I'm not going to keep on talking.
You're amazing. No, I was going to find something, but I don't know if I can do it.
Russia on a map?
I think I might be able to do it. Pico. Peter Gabriel. Oh, here we go. Yeah. I did it. Oh, yeah. I want to play Peter Gabriel Biko. What the fuck? Just one song. Give us a break, and then we'll be right back. I'm going to try to get everyone else back on. We're close to the top of the hour. Who cares? Let's do it. You want to hear it?
Sure, why not? It's a good track.
Yeah, since we were talking about it before, I kind of want to hear this. Crank this up a bit, and let's do some of that. Skip this fucking ad. Oh, it'll just play after the ad, so. All right, this is Peter Gabriel on the Monster Cast. We'll be right back with C.W. Chanter, Wolfman, the Marijuana Mama, and friends. Hopefully some Russian people will come back.
This song was written for a very brave man. A man who preached non-violence in a state which has racism enshrined in its constitution. A man who was imprisoned, tortured, and killed in a jail in South Africa. This is for Stephen Biko.
September
77, Port Elizabeth, weather fine. It was business as usual in police room 619. Oh, because oh, because you imagine the man is dead, the man is dead.
They're back in. Uh-oh.
When I try to sleep at night, I can only dream in red. The outside world is black and white with only one color dead. Oh, because oh, because
I love mermaids.
Kilimanjaro, the man is dead, the man is dead.
I love my alien mermaid. I gave birth to an alien.
Everybody's back. And we are back. Thank you, Peter Gabriel, for letting me just tear that right off YouTube and play it. I don't give a shit. Because we paid our royalties. I bought that album. I have it.
That's what you're gonna say at the trial of the RIAA, whatever.
Okay,
it was.
yeah.
They were
Peter
suing all those
Gabriel's
people.
gonna come and get me. Whatever. Not worried about one song on here, man.
No, it's a wonderful thing about like life on the bottom. You know, they tell you like they're gonna sue you for everything they have. You're like, let them. You know?
Yeah,
I
like
mean?
what are they gonna do to me, really?
Exactly. What are you gonna do?
All I'm doing, like my show, I'm not making money off it, so they can't really do nothing.
Hey, listen, there it is.
Basically, what I'm doing is promoting him for free, and I'm not making any money off it.
Yeah, listen, tell it to Peter Gabriel, man. I got no problem. He's playing
Peter
songs,
Gabriel
good
listens
songs.
to me. He loves me.
Fair use. Look, the great thing about it is that if we just take a minute to talk about the politics of Stephen Biko or whatever,
Yeah.
or even the politics of a rich white millionaire like Peter Gabriel singing a song, making millions and millions of dollars off this poor brother who died and, you know, getting the crap kicked out of him in South Africa, we could call it we could call it a political analysis and cultural analysis, and we could, under the Fair Use Act, we're covered. It's fair use, transformative work. We played a small excerpt for the purposes of evaluation and analysis and newsworthy discussion.
Exactly. We're the small axe here, folks.
Boom.
Yeah. You want to make money off Stephen Biko? We're going to chop you fucking right down, too. I love it. Try us. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Good. Well said, sir. I love that. That should be a clip right there. That's right. I saw him in concert. He had some wicked lasers, man.
Oh, sure, man. Of course.
Some of the weirdest shit, man.
Listen, that's great. You ever see Peter Gabriel when he was with Genesis? He was like full on out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, dude.
The costumes and all the bizarro stuff they would cover. Great stuff. Absolutely respect the artist.
Yeah. Hey, JP, are you still here? I got you guys back. I'm not sure if you can hear me. JP. Maybe not. I don't know if they realize they're back on.
Is he on here?
Oh, yeah, they're on. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, are you on? Are you on? Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
Dennis is there. You're back.
No, that was good. Like, JP,
I don't know if
JP, you're on JP,
Dennis,
right?
JP, Willie, anybody.
Doesn't matter.
No, you don't matter. But
I don't matter. I don't give a fuck if I matter or not.
we wanted to hear Willie, man.
I know. I wanted to hear Willie's mother. Willie's mother had a conversation with her son, Willie's brother, and then you started it up. But I wanted to hear what Willie was going to say. What his mother said. Oh,
He got
Willie now, man.
Rudely cut off by his Willie. Somebody cut off his Willie.
That'll set you back. That'll interrupt your flow of thoughts.
Yeah, that's what happened. He was trying to talk, and somebody cut off his Willie. Yeah.
Wolfman.
There he is. Did you get the report from the KGB? Please.
I did get the report. They said nothing to report, so I apologize for that.
You were supposed to find out about Black upside down pyramid buried in that fucking mountain there.
Yeah, that fucking harp shit, man. What the fuck is going on with that harp shit up there, Willie? What the fuck are you fucking Alaskans doing up there, man? For fuck's sake.
They tried doing woodpecker. Woodpecker. Okay, Willie.
So, Wolfman.
What's new?
I was talking to Dennis earlier, and it reminded me to congratulate you on the other day when you made your show a non-racist show. I mean,
wow, thank you.
How it ties into that shit? I was telling fucking Dennis, goddamn mom, who never fucking makes a joke or nothing. Brother, the other day, and they're talking. I'm riding in the goddamn car with him, and she's like, "Oh, hey, honey, how's it going? Love you. Oh, can you hang on for a second? The door on the back deck." He goes, "Oh." She goes, "Is my Irish friend." Irish friend? Knocking on the door out the back deck? Who the fuck is? She goes, "Oh, he is." He goes, "What?" She goes, "His name's Patio Furniture." God damn.
Be careful with that joke. It's an antique.
Yeah, man, that was a good one.
What mom do with the furniture? Wait, what mom do with the furniture, man?
I fucking banged him and put him back out on the back porch. I don't know.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Well, his name was Pat, right? So how do you know it was a guy? Because Pat can be a girl or a man.
Man. His name was Patio Furniture.
Well, Patio sounds more like a girl name to me. Why are you knocking out girls, Willie?
Patio, man. Patio, man. You fucking burn that fucking shit.
Yeah, his uncle's name was the same. Yeah.
Snow all over the fucking place. Burn that fucking shit.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
And the lanterns. And the lanterns that go with it. The patio lanterns and the furniture. All of it.
Yeah, and those little fucking stupid tiki fucking candles. Stupid fucks.
Tiki torches.
Yeah,
tiki candles are the smaller ones, right?
Oh yeah, Willie, do you still practice Alaskan voodoo?
I'm sorry, Wolfman. I'm a little distracted at the moment here. Just keep talking. I just want to listen to you guys.
Okay, yeah, you can do that while you're getting a blowjob. It's okay. Who's the lucky guy?
Oh.
Sorry.
No problem. Hey, listen, it's dirty work with the KGB. You know what I mean? It's what all the
Willie's stuffing his penguin. Willie's stuffing his penguin. Let him fuck.
Oh yeah, penguins. Yeah, they have penguins. He eats penguin rotisserie and penguin pizza apparently too.
Gotta stuff it first, right? No.
Come on. What's wrong with that? You know what? In Canada, they passed a law. It's legal now to fuck penguins.
I never said fucking. I never said that. I said Willie is stuffing his penguin. I never said he's fucking it.
Oh, I misunderstood you. That's probably not. It's probably not legal in Alaska, but I know us Canadians can do it and without getting arrested.
Oh, yeah.
No taxidermy without a license.
Never said that Willie was fucking his penguin. I just said he's stuffing it. Look.
Okay. You know, they don't really have penguins in Alaska, dude.
I know. That's all. No, they don't, man. That's a whole fucking joke.
Yeah, I know. That's the funniest part. CW, we keep bugging him about his penguins in Alaska. We know that there's no penguins there.
Oh, there's no penguins in fucking the Arctic.
It's all family fun.
Yeah. It's penguin pizza, right?
Don't talk about pizza. You're gonna find ourselves on a list. They're gonna imply that we're all Satanists and we're child traffickers.
Oh, the first time Willie called in, I think it was awesome. But he told us about like a boat trip and he saw some weird lights. And then the next time he phoned in, he told us about like running over this guy's campfire with his truck and scaring everybody at the party.
Oh, yeah. Willie likes to fucking choke people out, man. Willie likes to choke. If you look at him wrong, Willie will fucking just choke you out for no reason, man. Just don't look at him wrong. Just don't even look at him.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh no, really, for sure, man. Oh yeah, Willie. Oh yeah, because Willie's from Alaska. Hey, it goes like this, Mike. Willie will get out the chainsaw. You know the chainsaw, right? If we don't like you.
Oh, that gotta hurt, man.
That can hurt. I see, Willie don't fuck around.
Jesus, Willie.
Oh man, he's a fucking bastard.
Well, I think that wasn't very nice, That was not very nice. I think Willie's an asshole for chainsawing that person. And he should come over and see Grandma and tell me about why has he got to be such a mean man and chainsaw people like that. I'll give him a slice of apple pie. He'll feel better.
Grandma, why would you award him for something like that?
Well, maybe he needs someone to be nice to him, and he won't stop chainsawing the people like that.
Let's hope it works.
Grandma, go on, Grandma. You shouldn't be listening. Go on, Grandma. Go to bed. Go to bed. Don't listen.
I think, I see a lot of love going on, like the community, right? Like the Discord and Spreaker community. People are starting to find love, right? They're starting to get, their pussies wet, their dicks, exercised and shit like that. It's goodness, man. It calms the fucking waters a little bit, right?
It's top night. The fuck? Weird.
Well, I know a few people that haven't been getting any cock lately, and their oceans are fucking like fucking tsunamis, man.
Oh, there's a island the size of Texas, I think, that's just all floating plastic garbage floating around. I think it's in the which ocean? Pacific, I think.
The Gulf of Mexico,
about like
man.
Garbage Island, yeah, like there's
plastic garbage island.
Of all where all the currents around the world all come together and ends up have this effect of collecting all the garbage debris from around the world. And so, you have a basically not necessarily a solid island, but it's like garbage the size of the garbage pool the size of Texas floating out there in the ocean. And it doesn't look like the situation is going to get any better anytime soon.
Yeah, and maybe it'll start collecting dust and grow trees and shit on there. And it'd be a
Maybe
rotating,
that's how
floating
they
island.
will realize that that's how continents are formed. You know what I mean?
Who
You never
knows,
know.
man?
Yeah.
Well, it's a new way of continents to be formed. But I think you probably got like a vortex in the middle of it that's like a tornado sucking this plastic down to the bottom of the sea at the same time it's collecting. It probably sucks it down to the bottom of the sea too, because it's everything churning there and causing a vortex. And there's going to be a flute.
No, if you look at it by the space, it looks like a big sphincter, right?
Yeah. It's the world sphincter.
Kind of like spit once in a while. And all the birds, you know, gravitate to that shit. All the fucking whatevers. That's what I'm talking about. What do you call that shit?
Porcupines, porpoises, and porcupines. They were.
Are you a raging alcoholic?
Porcupines will rock the porpoises.
Let us help you. We are
find that place.
Anonymous Alcoholic
Call it
Group.
Shangri-La, Dennis.
But don't take my advice. Here it's straight from one of our members.
I was an alcoholic for years and years.
It's real.
They helped me because
everything's real, right, CW?
They took me away from my family where I can't hurt anyone, and I cannot
these
drive.
concepts, these ideas, they're real to the people that they're real for.
Drunk in community.